Hi and welcome back to the Classic MGB channel. Now some of you may have seen my previous exploits on the track with my MGB GT. Not the most successful, it has to be said. With this in mind and with another track day looming at Castle Combe Circuit in Wiltshire, I thought I'd better get some practice in. So I watched lots of YouTube track guides for the circuit, and there's links to some of those in the description. But I wanted another practical way to learn the circuit. So I decided to follow the example of many pro drivers and try a simulator. Now, the top F1 teams spend millions on the very best full motion simulators, but sadly, I don't have the budget for that. So after some investigation, I found a simulation program called Assetto Corsa, which, with some downloadable content, allowed me to drive a modified MGB GT on the Castle Combe Circuit on my laptop. Total cost, about a tenner. So let's give it a go. So off we go down the pit lane, looking remarkably similar to the actual circuit because I've watched racing here a lot of the time. Anyway, we're off into Folly and just about to go up Avon Rise. So normal, following the straight line. It's important to get your braking, I think, done before this, according to the track guides. Around the slight left-hander at Avon Rise, and then hard braking for one of the most difficult corners called Quarry Corner. So after Quarry Corner, come out, and then it's a short blast down before we get to the chicane that is known as the S's. Here we go, braking hard, and ease it in right and then left. So then come out of that one, and we're going more or less straight. Then we've got a gentle right hand bend called Old Paddock Bend before we get onto the straight called Hammerdown. So here we are, we're now on the straight Hammerdown. So it's full throttle here as fast as you can go. I think this modified MGB GT will go quicker than mine. So now it's hard braking for Tower Corner. Down at Tower Corner now, and you can see there's not a lot of runoff at Castle Combe, so it's alright on the simulator, but I'll have to be careful in my car. So now another chicane comes up quite quickly called Bobby's. Round Bobby's, that's a right and a left. So then Dean Straight, and then we're into Camp Corner, which is the last corner on the circuit, round past the pits. So here we go for a proper simulated lap. You'll see that I have actually done this before. This isn't my very first time on the simulator, but you can see I've still got a fair way to go. So I go once again down through Folly, fastest part of the circuit, flat out all the way from Camp Corner up to Avon Rise, which we're coming to now. So brake a little bit before the rise, bear left, and then straight on. And then we're right into Quarry Corner, and then round Quarry Corner, and a little blast up towards the S's. So keeping left, and then it's a flick right and left with plenty of braking. There's good runoff here. Originally the circuit went straight on here, so right and then left, and then once again we're at Old Paddock Bend. So around Old Paddock Bend, that's where the other commentary position is actually, and using a bit of the curb, and then straight down, hammer down the straight that has a slight kink in it just before we start braking and looking towards Tower Corner. Tower Corner on the brakes, round Tower Corner, and then up the short squirt, if you like, to Bobby's with a right and a left. So coming up to Camp Corner now, so we brake just on the pit entrance there. Oh, looks like we've gone a bit wrong. Oh, yeah, we're on the grass. Now, if that had been my real car, I'd probably have caused some damage, but what it does show is I need a lot more practice before I get out on the circuit for real. Well, the day has finally arrived. We're at Castle Combe Circuit near Chippenham in Wiltshire. I've done my prep, I've looked at all the YouTube videos, I've practiced on the simulator, so I guess it's time to do it for real. But before I do, there's two things we've got to do. The first is to get the car noise tested. There's fairly strict noise limits at Castle Combe, and it's 100 decibels in fact, so we better make sure the car's got is under 100 decibels, otherwise we won't be going anywhere. And the other thing we've got to do is the briefing, so better get going. So noise test passed. Next stage in an MG's on track day is the driver briefing. Let's go. The briefing is a really important part of the day, and rightly you won't be allowed out on track if you haven't attended. The order of the day is explained together with the flags that will be used and the procedures should you break down or lose control. Track etiquette is particularly important on MG's on track days as overtaking is by consent only. The racing lines around the circuit are also explained, so even if you haven't booked an instruction session, you'll have some idea of where you should be on the track. My co-driver today is Holly, who's my daughter.
Hey!
And she's very brave. It was actually my son that spun with us at Silverstone, but we're into the pit lane, and away we go. This car is in a group of its own. In other words, it's the only B, I think, in the group, and we've got a lot of Fs, which are enormously quicker. Okay, so this is the first time into quarry. It's a third gear, braking point, we're going quite slowly, heading for the hook round at the apex, round we go. We'll give it some breath in the exit, there we go. Big top gear. Coming up to the braking point, hit the brakes, into third gear, braking, turning in. Through the S's. Third all the way around here. Put the apex there. Let's hammer down on stop here. Missing. Back the tower. Hold it in. Then third. Clearly the car was misfiring and was down on power, so not being very mechanically minded, thought it best to get back to the pits and see what the problem was and what could be done. I came back into the paddock, put the bonnet up, whereupon Tim turned up. Now Tim Winton from Cambrian Classics helped me massively. So far you've changed my plugs, you've changed my leads, and I've actually been out and it's going a lot better. So tell me, how did you get into classic car mechanics?
Oh, well, I've always enjoyed classic cars, and I come from a sort of a mechanical family, but you know, I left home and sort of thought one day, oh, I'd like to get an MGB, and so I got one and then rapidly discovered you have to learn how to fix the things, otherwise it gets very expensive. So slowly over the years taught myself one job at a time how to do it, and I run the local MG club as well, so there's always lots of people about with MGs and things, and it just sort of naturally progressed into doing work for other people and on other people's cars, and now I do it full time. There's two of us with a workshop in West Wales, just doing British sports cars, pretty much Triumphs, MGs, mostly mechanical stuff. Don't go in for a lot of bodywork restoration. There seems to be a lot of demand for mechanical specialists for classic cars. So most of the garages now, they don't know what carburetors are, so it sort of fills that niche bit. Yeah, saw you in distress.
Yes, but I mean that's
as you went up the straight. So I thought, okay.
But that's actually the thing about MGs on track. It's just such a nice, friendly community. You know, there's no finger pointing and you idiot, why didn't you get your car sorted? It's how can I help? Tim, thank you very much both for sorting my car out. Right. We'll put all your contact details in the description. So if you've got any problems with your MGBs, I can recommend this guy hugely. So with the car working much better and with the weather improving all the time after a dull, windy start, it was time for an instructor lap with Chief Instructor Alan Wilshire.
Mirrors aren't that fantastic.
Work hard on the basics, keep your hands 2/4 on the wheel, go with the wheel in and out of the corners,
Okay.
on and off the brakes, on and off the power, even changing gear, you know, just take your time, don't rush it.
Yeah.
Is it a 4-speed gearbox?
It is
did you
4-speed,
say?
yeah, with overdrive, but we'll be
With overdrive, okay, we'll see how we get on with that. Obviously keep an eye on the mirrors. If I say move left or right, but you've spotted a car,
I'll do it, yeah.
then override what I told you.
How are we doing? That might be the bus.
So yeah, we can just keep left, build up speed gradually.
Good, aren't you?
We'll do a steady lap to warm everything up. It is clear, so keep left a little bit longer,
Okay.
and then a smooth turn so that you literally run up the right hand side of this slope. Normally you'd be losing a little bit of speed up here with a
Yeah.
brake. Then a smooth turn, gently back on the power to load the car up.
When do we go into
and
third?
aim at the light. This will be third gear, but do it halfway through the braking.
Halfway through the
Off the brake and turn across to the blue one, but don't move your hands around the wheel.
Okay.
And then unwind that lock and add the power. So we just end up driving down this left hand side. And then during the next braking,
Yeah.
which is after the yellow cone,
Yeah.
we'll go down to third gear. So stay on the power, now brake and third gear, off the brake and across to the curb on the right, likewise the one on the left, let the car go out wide to the right, come back to within about 1/3 of the width of the track of the red one,
Right.
but look for the blue one to guide you where to turn.
Okay.
So that is what it will feel like. Out to the left, here you want to check your mirrors because we're going to move back to the right.
Yeah.
Go slightly past the red cone by about a car length or two. Now turn to again run down the left hand side. Stay on the power a little bit longer and do your down change halfway through the braking. Off the brake and across to the late apex, this blue cone quite a long way round the corner. And then you'll unwind the steering as you see the exit open up and feed in the power. And then just brakes, off the brake and across the curb. You can go down to this kind of bowl on the left and then out wide to the right, back towards the middle, and then back towards the grass on the right, and then end up out on the left. Stay in fourth gear for the next one. Stay on the power, stay on the power, stay on the power. Squeeze the brake, ease off the brake, turn across to the blue one, squeeze the power, and then let the car run out wide.
After my instruction session, I caught up with Alan without the helmets on. If we're talking to somebody that's thinking of doing an MG on track day, what would you say to them?
I say, first of all, it's a very good starting point. The days are very well run by MGs on track. They're a safe day. All track days run to sort of standardised rules, and everyone these days that's in business is very good at providing a good, safe track day. But with MGs on track, it's relaxed. There's no pressure to go fast. And of course, you're grouped in with similar cars and similar mentalities. You know, you're not fitting in amongst a group of, say, for example, Ferrari supercars, where you'll be constantly looking in your mirrors, getting out the way. So it's just a good, balanced day, particularly for that mark of car.
Right, okay. And have you ever been terrified as an instructor?
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier we went round together, and you know there's one example there. No, I mean obviously yes, you got no idea who you're sitting next to. You're hoping that when you say brake, someone does brake. My braking firmly might be different to your braking firmly. So of course you always recommend let's build up slowly. Gives me a chance to talk you around, and then you just learn to trust each other and go from there. And of course, to try and make someone faster, you'll just creep up on it. You won't suddenly get them to go twice as fast or brake half as late. It's creeping up on it and just making sure they're understanding why they're doing it. You know, rather than rely on me saying, okay, turn, brake, power, educating the customer so they can then do it on their own when they go out later in the day. And again, that all helps with going faster, but safely.
I finally caught up with the chairman of MGs on Track, Nigel Silman. Hi, Nigel.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Oh, well, better than Silverstone anyway, yeah. Better than Silverstone. So tell me a bit about MGs on Track. I mean, I know, but our viewers perhaps don't.
Right, well, MGs on Track, we're in our 20th year of operation this year, so it's really a birthday celebrations in some ways. And it was formed by a bunch of MGF owners some years ago, well, 20 years ago, who decided they wanted to start doing track days and got together and booked on commercial track days. Very quickly became fed up by being sort of overtaking on both sides by, the Beamers and the 500 quid eBay specials, and decided to do something about it with an MG badge on it, and hence MGs on Track was born.
Brilliant. So there's a big variety of cars here. MGFs and TFs seem to be the most popular. What car would you recommend if people want to get into this?
Oh gosh, that's a really difficult one. So people bring everything with an MG badge to our track day. So we have quite a lot of people that bring T-Series cars. We have a day down at Goodwood in February with Triple M's, where we have a session of Triple M's. So anything goes. But I mean, the ones that seem really popular are the MGBs, the midgets, the C's, MGAs, and the F's and TFs.
Right. Okay. See, a lot of people have a view of a track day as being, youngsters in Peugeot 205s driving around and people that are, don't really care if it goes into the barrier. And I think probably a lot of people with MGs are nervous about it. So what would you say to them?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's you're right to consider those kind of things and be slightly nervous about it, because in some ways track days have got slightly poor reputation in terms of trashing cars. I mean, MGs on Track is very different. I think we're not a commercial track day operator. We are a licensed operator for running track days. We are fully insured. But everyone that brings a car here with us today wants to drive it home at the end of the day. And I think that's the really big difference between our track days and a commercial track day. One of the things that makes people come back to us time and time again is the courtesy on track. And it's all about, having a bit of, deference to our other track users. If something quick is behind you, we always tell people, let them go. We enforce our rules pretty rigidly in terms of overtaking by consent only, not barging your way past the braking zones or the corners. And people are really good. And typically I describe MGs on Track to people who don't know about it as a social club that does a bit of driving. And I think that's a really good way of thinking about it. We all come for a fun day with friends. We've all got a common interest in the mark of car, but we go out and have a really good time on the track as well and enjoy ourselves.
So, word of advice, if somebody's got an MG, how do they go about starting with MGs on Track?
All you need to do actually is register on our website for free and come and book a day, and we'll pick you up as a first timer. We'll make contact and mentor you through your first day. We'll give you one of our committee members' contact details. They will get in touch with you before the event, just to help you sort of through the process of sign on and getting the car ready before you come to the event, or tell you what you need to do in terms of, fluid, brake pads, tyres, etc., which is nothing basically. Most of our cars are standard road cars, so you really need to do nothing. One of the big things we would always advise first timers is pay for some instruction. It's the best 20 quid you can spend. It'll get you going faster than any of the go faster bits you can buy from any of the suppliers. And a session with an instructor at every new circuit is a really worthwhile addition to your time on track, frankly.
Absolutely, can't agree more. Nigel, thank you very much for everything you do, and hope you continue doing it.
Thank you very much.
After our interview and off camera, Nigel offered me a passenger ride with him in his MGTF, an offer I couldn't refuse. Have a look at this. we go, that's a day at Castle Combe with MGs on track. Many thanks to all the contributors to this video. As always, if you could subscribe, click the bell for notifications so you know when we're bringing out new content, that would be great. Many thanks for watching.